South Carolina's next up for my 2024 SEC football record predictions. Um, yeah, just first glance, this is a tough schedule, man. I'm seeing a lot of numbers next to these teams, and that is not ideal. For South Carolina, bro. Um, so I'll start off with what do I know? They still have Shane Beamer at head coach. They lost their top receiver Wells to Ole Miss, I believe. They have Lenora Sellers, who's going to be a new quarterback for them. High potential. Probably will get better as the season goes along. He'll have to get better as the season goes along if they want to, at least make a bowl game, I think. Um, yeah, how he plays is going to be very important as to how the season goes for this team. Um, but yeah, they start off the season with Old Dominion. I'm going to give them a win there. Should be fairly easy. A good little warm up game before they go to Lexington to take on Kentucky, which I have already done a lot of record predictions for teams such as Alabama, Arkansas, Auburn, Florida, Georgia, Kentucky, LSU, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Missouri, and Oklahoma. If you want to go check those out, feel free to do so. Those videos are on my channel right now. So, um, in the Kentucky video, I picked them. I picked South Carolina to lose this. Now, if it was at Carolina, I think it could be a bit of a different story there. But going to Kentucky early in the season, the crowd's going to be rocking, man. It's Kentucky's going to be a solid team, and they're going to be a hard out like they have been the last few years. And yeah, I see it could be a dogfight here. South Carolina, Kentucky could be a dogfight, but I do see Kentucky pulling out a win there. And then they head back home to host my LSU Tigers, in which I have LSU getting the win there. Now, I'm not going to lie, as an LSU fan, going to Columbia, South Carolina does scare me a little bit. Going to Williams-Brice does scare me a little bit. I'm glad it's not going to be a night game. It's going to be a noon Eastern time game. That makes it a lot easier for us. I think South Carolina could, stay in the game and fight for a good bit of this game. I would say maybe 2.5, 3 quarters, but I think LSU does pull away eventually. I think the offense does pull away eventually in this game. I think LSU's defense will be good enough to get some stops against Carolina. Then they host Akron. I'm going to give them a win there. And then they have an off week. So they start 2-2 in the first month of the season. Two tough games and two easy out-of-conference games for them. Then they get the bye week, and then they have the hardest stretch of their season. And it's just 3 games, but they go home to host Ole Miss. If that's a night game, there could be some magic here. Just like there was when they beat Tennessee a couple years ago. And, beat Tennessee pretty handily. There could be some magic at some point if this is a night game, or maybe this A&M game here. I'm looking at the night games. They don't have a whole lot. I see 1, 2, maybe 2. For sure 2, maybe 3. But yeah, that's rough. Not a lot of night games, man. But yeah, I do have Ole Miss getting the win here. Again, maybe there's gonna be some magic in Williams-Brice if that's a night game, but Ole Miss is just gonna be too much, I think. Going to Alabama, again, I just don't think South Carolina's gonna have what it takes to hang around with a team like Bama, or Ole Miss or LSU. Man, I don't really see it. Now if Lenora Sellers comes out and he's balling, sure, they could probably take a game at Kentucky, or maybe even shock a team like LSU or Ole Miss. Who knows, man? That's why these are predictions. And then they go to Oklahoma, in which I have Oklahoma getting a win. Now, if you watch my Oklahoma video, I have them struggling, man. I think they could be like an 8-4 team here their first year in the SEC. This could be a game that maybe South Carolina steals. This could be their first big win of the season. Out of the ranked teams so far, I would say either at Kentucky or at Oklahoma is where they're most likely to get their win. So far. Then they get another off week. After going 0 for 3 in that tough stretch there. If they can go 1 for 2 in this stretch, I would consider that a win, to be honest. Getting a win over any of these teams, especially 2 of those games being on the road, that'd be massive. But they're 2-5, going into the off week, and then hosting A&M, a game that they very much could win. Gonna be homecoming, gonna be a night game. I have not done A&M's predictions yet, so I can do this. Because I've been forced to, go off of the predictions I've already made in my previous videos when it comes to the outcomes of the game. I'm gonna go ahead and give Carolina their first win here. Now, will A&M be ranked at this point in the season? I don't know. Hard to tell. I don't know what their schedule is looking like. I know they have Notre Dame in the off season to start the season, I believe. I have not looked at their schedule, so I'm not 100% sure. But I can see this being a game that South Carolina steals from A&M. And then they go to Vanderbilt. Sorry, Vandy, man. I don't look forward to doing the Vandy predictions. I shouldn't even do the Vandy predictions. It's just gonna be disrespectful. It's gonna be rough, dude. I'll do them. I mean, I'm going to do them, but I don't look forward to it. So yeah. South Carolina bounces back, 2 good wins. Well, 1 good win and another win that you should expect. I suppose. Why did I say it like that? That was weird. So yeah, they're 2-5 or 4-5. My bad. Going back home to host Missouri. Now they would have a little bit of momentum going on here. A little bit of momentum. Maybe that could carry over into another pretty big upset against Missouri, but I do have the Tigers coming out on top in this one. Now, Missouri's defense is a question mark for me because they lost, some key coaches and players from that side of the ball. The offense is going to be fine, but how the defense is going to be a big indicator of how this Missouri team is going to perform this season, I think. So if the defense is not that good and they're not able to really stop anything, maybe Lenora Sellers at this point in the season can have a big offensive game. Maybe Carolina's offense can have a big game in some aspect and, make things interesting, maybe get a win there. At this point in the season, South Carolina might be playing spoiler to Missouri's playoff chances. But yeah, that could be an interesting game right there, I think. This Missouri one. Then they host Wofford, in which I have them getting a win. So at this point, I have South Carolina 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're sitting at 5 and 6. They would need to win this Clemson game to become bowl eligible. If they don't, they'd be 5 and 7, in which I guess you could still make a bowl game at 5 and 7. Unlikely, I suppose. I don't know what the chances are of making it at 5 and 7, but it could happen if other teams decline their bowl games or whatever. But yeah, this could be a very interesting one here. Time is to be determined. I don't think it would be a night game. Probably a 3:30 game or something, but man, I gotta go with Clemson. But if Clemson's not having a good season and they're sitting around like 8 and 3 or something like that, I could see Carolina pulling this off. But if Clemson's fighting for their playoff hopes, that might even motivate Carolina even more. If Clemson's fighting for their playoff hopes, I think it'll be close. I think it could be definitely close. How is Cade Klubnik going to be playing? If he's playing like he has, how he's played the last few seasons, I man, I'm tempted to pick Carolina, but I'm gonna go Clemson. I would not be shocked at all if Carolina could win that game. But yeah, I have Carolina going 5-7 in the regular season, which honestly, that pans out better than I thought they were going to be doing. In the SEC, I have them getting 2 wins, so I have them going 2-6 in their conference schedule, 5-7 overall. The ceiling for this team. Let's see, where are some losses that I could see being wins? Kentucky, that would make them 6-6. Oklahoma, I could see that being a win. That being 7-5. I would say the ceiling for this team is 8-4. That is maybe pushing it by a win. I would say 7-5, but I'll go 8-4 as a ceiling for this team. Because I'm not 100% sure on how this team is going to be looking. I know they've lost some talent, and I don't pay close attention to Carolina. So I'm just going off what I've read and what I've heard. So yeah, I would say 8-4 is the ceiling. The floor, man. The floor. I mean, if they lose that, 4-8. I would say 4-8 is the floor, to be honest. I would say 8-4. 8-4 is the ceiling. 4-8 is the floor. I have them going 5-7 as my expectation. And yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, man. Do you agree? Do you disagree with my picks? And yeah, don't hate me too much if you're a South Carolina fan, man. It's hard doing these predictions, bro. It's really hard doing these predictions. This, not really knowing much about the teams. So, if it was LSU, it'd be pretty easy because I know where the strengths and weaknesses of my team are. But when it comes to some other teams, I just don't hear a whole lot about South Carolina. And again, I've read and I've heard some things about them in this offseason. And that's just basically what I go off for all of these teams. Some other teams I know more than others. But yeah, it's tough, man. So don't hate me too much, but yeah, I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, please drop a like, hit the subscribe button. I will catch you all in the next one. Peace.